First turn is king. If you can get first turn, it doesn't matter whether you're in a truck or not, because you get that as an orc player with the horde, you get that extra advance and charge. You're in melee turn 1, which is all the more reason why, as a guard player, as an Astra Militarum player, you have to have those flamers. You have to have ways to react to that orc player, that Tyrannid player who's going to charge you turn 1.
You have to be getting something out of every turn, even if it's not your turn. You got to be killing something.
Yep.
I would dare to say that Astra Militarum would do okay against Space Marines if the Space Marines had turn 1.
I think, I've been able to do pretty well against several different armies. I just played against a Chaos player the other day. I hate to say it, I tabled him by the end of turn 3 almost. With the number of -2s, he was able to sit and cover, but it didn't matter. I was just able to hit him from everywhere. Basilisks on one corner, Basilisks on the other corner, I was always 36 inches away. So I was always getting to reroll 1s, and I just did a crossfire where I basically drew a big X across the battlefield and had my Basilisks in one corner shooting at the opposite corner and did it from both corners. So I'm hitting just about everywhere.
You're playing with true military tactics, sir.
The whole point is you got to maximize your range of fire. You want to be able to hit everybody and maximize those bonuses. And those synergy bonuses from the Master of Ordnance really makes that cheap ordnance very effective. 500 points, I'm sitting with 4 Basilisks and a Manticore half the time, or very close to it. It's about 600. With the Master of Ordnances, I'm great for ranged fire. Now I can throw hordes of conscripts if I want to play a horde army, and still have heavy strength to being able to take out things like land raiders.
And it sounds like you're maximizing your kill zone. I mean, anything within 36 inches sounds like it's going to get shredded.
Well, if they get within 36 inches of that Basilisk, then I have to have the other one has to concentrate fire on to being able to protect that. Those Basilisks and those artillery, they are your hammer that hammers the enemy. And it's ironic that your infantry kind of becomes that anvil of you use them as a buffer to keep you from being able to assault you. Yeah. So you have to be able to block off, make it to where nowhere can a unit drop in within 9 inches. So you have to be able to field that strong spread of infantry, keeping deep strike from happening, so that you can protect your basilisks. They are your hammer, your sword that's going to cut down your enemy most effectively.
All right, let's get advanced. Let's get ripped!
I don't know if you heard me counting. I did over 1,000. You have your ubulus muscle that connects to the upper dorsimus. It's boring, but it's part of my life. I'm just going to grab this shirt if you don't mind. Just watch out for the guns.
How do you advance Astra Militarum Army even further than what you have so far? What could you infuse into it to just really OP it?
Well,
overpower?
Right now flyers have been talked about a lot lately because of the Raven spam. That's been changed again in the most recent FAQ.
FAQ 1.1?
Yeah, they stopped the ability from having flyers to win the game. That being said, I'm a big, big fan, and I really want to get one, of Vulture from Forge World. The Vulture is the new flyer, in my opinion, for Astra Militarum. The Vendetta's dead. I hate to say it, I love the Vendetta. I got 3 of them. They are my favorite vehicle. But they cost 230 points to have those 6 las cannons, and
pretty expensive.
They're just not as effective, especially when you hit on a 5+ because you have to fly. So when you're hitting on such a poor dice roll, you got to go numbers. You got to have that orc mentality of more DACA down the field. Mm-hmm. So the Valkyrie comes in at 162 with a multi-laser and rocket pods, which is my preferred kind of alternative to the Vendetta. But if you're able to get Forge World and you're able to spend the money and wait the time, the Vulture comes in at 160 with dual Gatling cannons. That's 40 shots downfield.
Every model I've seen from Forge World just takes it to a whole nother level.
Right. And the irony is the Vulture and the Vendetta, for power level points, is the exact same at 11.
Oh my gosh. Why do you do that?
I love the Gatling cannon. It's throwing it down with just a sheer number. It's short range, sure, 24-inch range, but as a flyer, you don't care. And if I'm going to field the Gatling cannon tank, which is, to me, the best version of the current Lemon Russ, because you need to get up and close and personal. The heavy flamers on it are so expensive, but, you're going to get engaged in melee if you're playing a Lemon Russ.
Yes.
Anybody's going to charge you, and they're going to try to make you... They're going to nerf you by making it to where you have to fall back and you can't shoot. So you need sheer number of shots. And unless you're going to pay the 17 points per heavy flamer on a tank, you need sheer number of shots, which becomes the Gatling cannon. At Pask, I hate to say it, he's kind of overpriced in just that you're not going to be able to utilize his 2+ ballistic skill. You're going to be firing on Overwatch at that 6+ because they're going to melee you. Now, the nicest thing about selecting Pask, if you do play him and you play him as your Warlord, you can at least take the Warlord trait to get the ignoring a wound, basically, on a 6+. And that can kind of help his survivability. So you can...
Yeah.
He becomes a distraction Carnifex sort of thing, where you keep meleeing, assaulting him so that he can't pound you down with those sheer number of shots. Because the second you don't, even on his most diminished, he's still hitting on a 4+.
Yeah. True.
So that's 23 shots, because he's probably going to have a heavy bolter base weapon. 23 shots that's mowing that group that just assaulted him down.
Now, where do Militarum Tempestus stand for advancing your army? Do you throw them in there at all?
Well, Militarum Tempestus, again, with the first FAQ that came out, they kind of nerfed one of the things that was going to be really heavily used, and that was the idea of command squads.
Yeah.
Being able to deep strike in, give him all plasma weapons, deep striking 4 plasma guns right in the backfield with hitting on 3+. They're great. Militarum Tempestus, they're a troop choice. The Tempestus, Tempestor Prime, throwing him in there with a command squad, that can be really great. It's a great way of utilizing the fluff of what a kill team is and kind of using them for mission-specific roles. I'm not a big fan, but I've seen good competitive lists that like to throw 5-mans. It's a great way to fill up troops for cheap, and they're effective. I mean, they're -2 on their ballistic on their AP, so they can be very effective at taking down Space Marine equivalent armies.
What advice or recommendations do you have for new Astra Militarum players just getting into 8th?
The Start Collecting is a good box set. I'm not a big fan, and I know I've talked bad about the Lemon Russ, and I'm hoping that with the codexes and with different things, they'll improve some of that, because with the release of the codices, everything's going to change.
Yes.
It constantly is changing. With the release of the codices, seeing some of the rules that came out in the new codex, the Primaris, the Space Marine Codex, makes me think that there's going to be probably some Astra Militarum tactics or stratagems that give me the ability to maybe fall back and still fire my tanks,
That'd be awesome.
which is something I think would be a great and reasonable tactic, because after all, one of the most famous things of Astra Militarum is the entire tank company, which is hard to play now because you get engaged in melee and now all of a sudden you can't fire for an entire turn.
Yeah.
And I suspect that will be a stratagem that will come and change. There will be stratagems that will talk about the idea of probably heavy infantry armies, being able to do different things with that. There will be ones that will deal with specifically the Lemon Russ, and I suspect there will be several that deal with the Lemon Russ. It is too iconic of a model and a unit to let go by the wayside. There'll probably be some that deal with the flyers and whatnot. And so the Start Collecting, it gives you a simple squad. It gives you a heavy weapon guy. Those are great. If you can get that, you don't even need to use the heavy weapon, because I tend not to put them in my base squads, just because dealing with points, it adds up. And I love throwing them instead with the heavy bolter and making the heavy weapons team. I can get a troop choice and two heavy weapons essentially out of that box, even if I don't use the tank right away. I've got that bit for later. Standard troops are just so used. You need so many of them.
Yes.
And you're going to find that as an Astra Militarum, you have one of the cheapest armies out there. I am amazed still that I can make a full battalion that has 6 troops, 3 elite, 3 fast attack, 3 HQ, and 3 heavy support, and I can still do it under 1,500 points.
Nice.
And that's an amazing thing. Most people, it's like, hey, I got 2 command points plus my 3 to start for because, I've made my list. So I get 5 command points. Great, I got 14 because I'm using Creed, which adds an additional 2 as my Warlord.
That's a lot of rerolls.
That's a ton of rerolls. Even with match play rules of saying you can only use 1 reroll or 1 stratagem per phase, I'm rerolling a stratagem every phase.
And not even thinking about it, really.
Right. I don't bat an eye. Do I want to roll it or not? Why not? What else am I going to use it for?
I got to waste these points. I got to get rid of them.
Right. And now current ITC rules did limit the idea that you can't use the reroll for seizing the initiative with ITC tournament rules. But core Games Workshop rules, there's no reason you can't roll to seize the initiative.
They'll allow it, yeah.
And when you got 14 command points, you never should bat an eye about that.
Exactly. Well, Brad, thank you for stopping in today.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Hopefully when the Astra Militarum Codex comes out, you can come down and disseminate it for us.
I'm stoked, especially since today they released the image of their current rumor mill, and it's been commented by GW that it's a lasgun.
It definitely looked like it, yes.
They actually said it on their Facebook posts. They responded to somebody.
GW's on top of their rumors.
I'm really happy that they've become a much more engaged company in this last couple of years.
It's been more fun, that's
Absolutely.
for sure. And they've been with us instead of, keeping it in a dark closet.
Absolutely. It's been much more engaged, and gosh, they're just taking all my money, it seems like. But I don't mind giving it to them in this case.
I bought an Orc Army in 2 weeks. I feel that burn. No, I love it. It's great. You can follow Strata-Gym on Facebook. It's facebook.com/strata-gym. And you will be able to listen to us on iHeartRadio here in about 2 weeks. And that's exciting. I do not have an RSS feed for iTunes yet because I'm technologically special. But once again, this is Andrew Freeman, your host of Strata-Gyms, saying over and out.